Today, we're taking a look at MSI's new RTX 5080 Expert. This is a graphics card that MSI was showing off at this year's Computex trade show, and they were very excited about it, claiming the unique design offered excellent thermals at a very low operating volume. Interestingly though, this isn't the first time we've seen such a design from MSI, and although I didn't review the GeForce 40 series Expert graphics cards, plenty of reviewers did, and the reviews weren't exactly glowing. And this is because the previous generation Expert models were rather expensive, they ran fairly hot, and they weren't particularly quiet either. In fact, they were only a very slight improvement over Nvidia's Founders Edition. So it's going to be interesting to see if MSI can improve upon the previous design to the point where the Expert justifies the price premium. Now, there are a number of design changes, so that's good news, particularly to the cooling, so hopefully these changes do result in a better product. And MSI is extremely confident with this one, so much so that they have an embargoed launch, which was actually earlier today for this model, but we decided to release at our usual time. Anyway, before we go over the RTX 5080 Expert and then tear it down, today's sponsor spot is brought to you by Be Quiet and their Pure Power 13M power supply series, available in either 550, 650, 750, 850 or 1000 watt capacities. The Pure Power 13M is an ATX 3.1 compliant and PCIe 5.1 compliant power supply with semi-passive cooling and one massive 12-volt rail. All models include native integration of both the 12-volt high-power connector as well as 4 PCIe 6+2 pin connectors for support for current and previous generation GPUs. All models are fully modular, meaning you only need to install the cables you'll be using, making installation quick and tidy. Also, for that peace of mind, they're backed by a 10-year warranty, so for more information, please check the link in the video description. Okay, so externally, the RTX 5080 Expert looks fairly similar to the RTX 4080 Super Expert, but as you start to look more closely, there are a number of changes. The aluminium fan shroud is still a sort of pale gold color, but the design has a few subtle changes, most notably of which is the pass-through area, which is a different shape and features less chrome dots, so that's something. Front on though, the card still looks very classy, giving it a more professional look when compared to the RGB gamer gear. From the side, MSI has gone with what I would describe as a less clean design, and this is because previously I felt the GeForce RTX branding blended in better with the card, but now you're getting black text, while there's a black band at the top of the card, which is essentially the side of the backplate. And look, this looks fine. I just don't think it's as clean as the previous design, which was wrapped entirely in that sort of pale gold color. Then we have a cutout for the 12-volt high-powered connector, which is fine. Perhaps a little difficult to access, but it's not problematic. It does come with a nice cover, which provides a really clean look, though this is completely pointless as it has to be removed immediately if you wish to actually use the product. So it looks good out of the box. MSI weren't really too creative here. The power input position is very standard. It's smack bang in the middle of the card, which does break up the design a bit, but whatever, it's functional, or as functional as a 12-volt high-powered connector gets. What you may have noticed is that there's no BIOS switch. Sadly, this Expert model doesn't include a basic feature like dual BIOS functionality, which I find extremely disappointing on such a premium product. Now, in terms of dimensions, the card measures 319mm long, so it's a big boy, and at 150mm tall, it's certainly not a short graphics card. It also measures 60mm wide, so it well and truly takes up 3 slots and will start to intrude on the 4th slot. Finally, in terms of weight, you're looking at 1898 grams, so only slightly lighter than MSI's RTX 5080 Vanguard SoC that I reviewed earlier in the year. Then moving around to the backplate, which has been 100% constructed from aluminium, so that's a really nice touch, and it is surprisingly thick, making it very sturdy and quite heavy at 372 grams, that's including the fan. On the underside, there is a single thermal pad behind the GPU, so MSI is using the backplate as a sort of heat spreader to try and remove built-up heat from the PCB. The backplate also wraps around to the very back of the card, so the opposite end to the I/O panel, and this means the Expert is fully encased, giving it a very premium look. Then finally, at the opposite end of the card, so the I/O panel, you'll find 3 DisplayPort outputs with a single HDMI output, and that's on a dual slot bracket. As for the fan configuration, the Expert design is simple, yet very unique. The front side of the card features just a single intake fan, while at the opposite end of the rear side, is an exhaust fan. So this is a push-pull design that still sees the majority of the hot air dumped inside the case. Now, it's time to tear the card down fully, and please note, this was done after all thermal testing was completed. Removing the backplate is a quick and easy job. Simply remove 6 screws and it lifts off, exposing part of the massive heatsink along with the rear side of the PCB. After that, you are required to remove a further 11 screws, and this will allow you to fully disassemble the card, removing the heatsink from the PCB. The heatsink isn't crazy or anything. It weighs 840 grams and features 2 fin stacks connected via half a dozen 8mm thick nickel-plated copper heat pipes. When compared to the previous Expert design, this newer 50 series model includes a significantly more compact vapor chamber area, so it looks as though MSI has tried to maximize the amount of airflow over the heatsink fins, which should improve thermal dissipation, providing they can just as efficiently extract the heat. Then we have a very compact PCB, which measures just 180mm long and 145mm tall. For power delivery, MSI has gone with an 11+4+3 power phase